Hello good people, this is Fisher12 back with another exciting video for you guys today as always, and tonight Bobby Roode debuted. You know what time it is, let's talk SmackDown. So this episode of SmackDown started off with the AJ Styles promo, and once again he is reinstating the United States Open Challenge. I don't know how many times this year this Open Challenge has been reinstated, but it's definitely a record. And when he said that he was reinstating it right here, right now, in the back of my mind, actually not in the back of my mind, out loud, I was saying, please not Kevin Owens, please not Kevin Owens, please not Kevin Owens. And who comes out? Kevin Owens. And in his defense, and against my annoyance, he did make some good points about how when AJ hit the referee in the eye, or when the referee got hit in the eye, he counted to 3, that stood. But when Shane McMahon counted to 3, that didn't stand. So, you know, I guess I thought it was a good point, but I was not happy to see, or hear rather, that we were going to get another Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles match later on this night. I think counting WWE Live at Madison Square Garden, this will be, or tonight was like the 6th or 7th time that we've seen Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles. Now, following that, we had the most glorious segment ever on SmackDown Live, and that was the debut of Bobby Roode going up against Aiden English, and in my opinion, this was exactly how a debut should be for a babyface. You know, it was a pretty dominating performance over a lower card heel. During the match, JBL had even mentioned Beer Money Inc., which I thought was interesting, because usually you don't mention anything about TNA, or Global Force Wrestling as they're called now. And I think this debut is probably one of my personal favorites, only because Bobby Roode is someone who's, I wouldn't say entire television career I've seen, but I have seen so much of his wrestling career, you know, starting back when he first debuted on TNA, and then transitioning over to NXT and watching him there, and now watching him come to SmackDown. It's like, it's a moment for me as a fan to see someone that, you know, I've enjoyed watching on a lower tier show, and there's sort of been the stigma that they would never make it to the big leagues, as they're called, and now that he's here on the big leagues and everyone is chanting glorious, and he's so over and he's doing his thing and he's loving it, you can see it on his face. It was a great moment to watch on TV. I absolutely loved it. Now, I think it was a mistake having this segment immediately follow the Bobby Roode debut, but we did get the return of Shelton Benjamin, and Daniel Bryan said that he was going to be teaming with Chad Gable next week. And actually, too, something else that Daniel Bryan mentioned is that the reason they were able to sign Shelton Benjamin, or part of the way that SmackDown was able to sign Shelton Benjamin, was because that was part of the Jason Jordan trade. Jason Jordan went to Raw, and Kurt Angle helped sign Shelton Benjamin, one of his close friends, to SmackDown. So I'm glad that they did clear up that confusion, even though it's been weeks since then. At least they eventually got around to talking about it. Now, I can't help but think that they're trying to recreate American Alpha here. I have American Alpha 2.0 as the segment title, and I wonder if they realized the mistake that they've made taking away Jason Jordan, and now it's too late for them to just send Jason Jordan back. So I wonder if Shelton Benjamin is going to be filling Jason Jordan's role for a little bit. And to be honest, I kind of like it, because putting aside the comparisons between Shelton Benjamin and Jason Jordan, I think Shelton Benjamin's characteristic and background works well with Chad Gable. Now, you also have the dynamic of this veteran protege, or this mentor protege, with Shelton Benjamin being this veteran who's been there before, he's been tag team, he's part of the greatest tag team in the world, and then you have Chad Gable, who's sort of this new upcomer, a lot of potential, a lot of talent. It'll be really interesting to see just that dynamic between the two of them. And I think the tag division is a good spot for Shelton Benjamin. Maybe later down the line they give him some, you know, US title run or a WWE title run, but right now both those pictures are sort of locked up right now. Like Shinsuke Nakamura is working with Jinder Mahal in the WWE Championship, and then you have AJ Styles, who's going to be starting a feud, and I don't want to see AJ Styles versus Shelton Benjamin, only because one of them has to lose, and I don't want it to be either. If that match happens later at like Royal Rumble or something, or WrestleMania, totally okay, but immediately for the first, feud back, it's not what I want to see. So I think Shelton Benjamin in the tag team division is a good spot for him on his return. Next, we had the Hype Bros versus the Usos, and I guess the Hype Bros aren't breaking up after all, and Mojo doesn't want to be a singles competitor anymore, but I found this match to be pretty boring. The only redeeming thing about this is that we haven't seen the Hype Bros tag in a while, so just to see them back wrestling was a bit of fresh air. But the Usos, man, they are so stale, and I think a lot of people probably won't agree with me. On Twitter, a lot of people didn't agree with me. A lot of people like the Usos, but in my opinion, all their matches just sort of end the same. They end in some sort of, fluky distraction or a blind tag. It would be nice to see some sort of magic or a roll up with the tights or feet on the ropes. Just something to change it up. I feel like we just see the same thing every time where the babyface looks like they're going to win and then there's some distraction play. Either an Uso gets into the ring or they step up on the ropes or they knock the other guy down off the top rope and then the other Uso does a weak looking super kick and somehow gets the pin. And I like the Usos as a tag team. I just don't like that we've seen so much of the same thing from them. I just want to see them switch it up a bit. Then we had Shinsuke Nakamura versus the Singh brothers in a weird 2v1 tornado handicap match. And it really bothered me that the Singh brothers didn't have any ring attire because, one, that they're going to get squashed, and two, I don't get this idea of trying to make managers not look like actual wrestlers. That clearly they didn't take that approach with Titus O'Neil, but here they're giving the Singh brothers the Ricardo Rodriguez treatment where they're dressed in nice attire that you obviously wouldn't wear for a wrestling match. And what was frustrating, Ricardo Rodriguez was an excellent wrestler. If you watched any of his dark matches or any of his stuff before coming to the WWE, it was almost a crime that all he did was announce and was practically never in a match. And I really don't want to see the same thing happen here with the Singh brothers. They are wrestlers. They know how to wrestle, and they're not bad. Let them actually wrestle. Don't demote them to this manager weak Lana type position. No offense, Lana. But I guess we're going to see more out of Nakamura and Mahal. It doesn't look like this feud is quite over yet. But as much as I love Nakamura, because he's not so good with the promos because he doesn't speak English all that well, he's still pretty charismatic. And because he's outnumbered, I feel like it's really going to be on Mahal and the Singh brothers to carry a lot of this feud, and more so than if they were in a feud with like John Cena or Randy Orton or AJ Styles or Kevin Owens or someone else like that. If they don't come up with some really interesting, entertaining, special stuff, I think this could get stale really quick, and that won't be good for Nakamura because people already feel like he's been lackluster. Next, we had our women's match, Becky Lynch and Naomi versus Natalya and Carmella. And I know the big discussion this week was Carmella's outfit from SummerSlam. Was that actually ring attire? Was she going to wear it on SmackDown? And the answer is yes, everyone. She did wear that Brooklyn one piece on SmackDown, and everyone was so happy about it. I'm not that infatuated with the women's ring attire because it's for wrestling, so in this context it doesn't mean anything, but the match itself was just kind of okay. The crowd wasn't into it at all. They started doing the wave during it, and ultimately Carmella got pinned clean in the ring. So, that's kind of how I just felt about this match. But next up, we had our main event, AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens for the United States Championship with Baron Corbin as the special guest referee. Kevin Owens needed to find someone to be the special guest referee. He went to Sami Zayn first, and it didn't work out with him. And then he wanted to get the Fashion Bros, or the Fashion Police, but it didn't work out with them, or he realized that he needed them too late, and then eventually landed on Baron Corbin. And I don't have entirely much to say about this match. It was just sort of a so-so match, and again, not their best match. Now, as a referee, Baron Corbin was doing a great job. If this wrestling thing doesn't work out, I think he has a really bright future as a referee in this business. And he was a good referee up until that stupid rope break call. He wanted to break up the calf crusher because Kevin Owens just loosely touched the rope, and then he was arguing with, and then when AJ Styles rebutted, AJ Styles was like, no, he needs to hold on to the rope, he can't just flimsily touch it. Corbin was like, no, he touched it, that's good enough, I'm the referee, you gotta listen to me, I'm the ref. And it's like, dude, those aren't the rules of wrestling. You don't get to just make the rules. The rules aren't up for discussion. They aren't up for interpretation. You don't get to just decide on the rules and then say, I'm the referee, so that's how things are going to go. It's just so frustrating with Baron Corbin because it's like, if no one is telling him to do this stuff, I want to like just take him and shake him and be like, dude, what are you doing? Do you not get it? Like, how did you make it this far? And you're doing this stuff now. Like, what happened? Now, thankfully, he excused himself as referee from this match when Shane McMahon interfered because he started messing up his job. And fortunately, all Shane McMahon had to do was count to 3 because there's nothing really more frustrating or annoying when a wrestling match is more about the referee than the actual match. So, fortunately, after a little scuffle between Baron Corbin and Shane McMahon, Shane just did the 3 count when AJ Styles did phenomenal for him, and that was the end of it. There wasn't, like, more discrepancy calls to be made or anything like that. They just really got to the end. And that was SmackDown. And overall, it was just kind of a meh episode. It started off really good, and the finish was less good. Fortunately, we'll never get to see AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens again as long as AJ Styles is the United States Champion, which hopefully is for a good while. Now, we do have a lot to look forward to next week. We have Shelton Benjamin's debut match alongside Chad Gable, so we'll see who they're going up against. Probably going up against the Ascension, to be honest. I don't think there's another heel tag team other than the Usos, and they definitely wouldn't be going up against the Usos. Let's see, hold on, let me just check my chart. Yeah, the only other heel tag team would be the Ascension, so it'd have to be the Ascension. And we're also getting Dolph Ziggler's new, I don't know what you would call it, re-debut. He's reinventing himself. He's going to be a star and give the audience what they want. So this will either be really good because he'll be mocking all the ridiculous things that WWE likes, or it'll be really bad because they'll have him do all the silly stuff that really isn't what's getting over, but he's going to act like that it is. Like, you know, it's either going to be on one side of the spectrum. It's not going to be something that's just all right. It's either going to be really good or really bad. And then also, Lana has some special guests next week showing up to help with Tamina's training. I'm not really sure what that's all about. But even though this episode was just sort of it was a lot better than Raw in the sense that as a produced episode, it was much better than Raw. Like, Raw didn't give me anything to look forward to next week. They didn't have any new debuts from SummerSlam. There wasn't anything like that. SmackDown had a debut, a return of a popular superstar, and it had a bunch of stuff for us to look forward to next week. And in my mind, those are some of the things that you need for a good SmackDown episode, or those are some of the ingredients that make up a good WWE episode. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think, so let me know in the comments down below. What did you think of this episode of SmackDown? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What are you most looking forward to next week? But that will unfortunately bring us to the end of today's episode. If you enjoyed it and want to see more WWE videos like this, then go ahead and click on that subscribe button. But other than that, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and take care.